Hey guys, we're back with the best Christmas pageant ever. I'm going to stay with the best Christmas pageant ever because that's really how it's starting to feel. Chapter 6. Our last rehearsal happened to be the night before the potluck supper. And when we got there, the kitchen was full of ladies in aprons, counting out dishes and silverware and making applesauce cake for dessert. I'm sorry about this, one of the ladies told Mother, but with so much to do at this time of the year, the committee decided to come in this evening and set up the tables and all. I hope we won't bother you. Oh, you won't, Mother said. We won't be in the kitchen. You won't even know that we're here. Mother was wrong. Everybody in that end of town would know we were there before the evening was over. Now, this is going to be a dress rehearsal, Mother told us all, and right away 3 or 4 baby angels began hollering that they didn't bring their wings. Half the angel choir had forgotten their robes, and Hobie Carmichael said he didn't have any kind of costume. Wear your father's bathrobe, Charlie told him. That's what I do. He doesn't have a bathrobe. Well, what does he hang around the house in? His underwear. I looked at Alice Wendelkin to see if she was writing that one down in her pad of paper, but Alice was standing by herself in a corner patting her hair. Her hair was all washed and curled, and her robe was clean and pressed, and she had Vaseline on her eyelids so that they would shine in the candlelight, and everyone would say, "Who is that lovely girl in the angel choir, and why isn't she Mary?" I guess Alice was afraid to move for fear she might spoil herself. Don't worry about your wings, Mother said. The main point of the dress rehearsal isn't the costumes. The main point is to go right straight through without stopping. And that's what we're going to do, just as if we've been doing it for the whole congregation. I'm going to sit in back of the church and be the audience. But it didn't work that way, because the baby angels came in at the wrong place and at the wrong time and had to go back out, and the whole gang of shepherds didn't come in at all for fear of Gladys. Imogene couldn't find the baby doll for Jesus, and so she wrapped up a great big memorial flower urn in a blanket and then dropped it on Ralph's foot. And half the angel choir started singing Away in a Manger while the other half started singing O Little Town of Bethlehem. So we had to start over a lot. I've got the baby here, Imogene barked at the wise men. Don't touch him. I named him Jesus. No, 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 Mother came flying up the aisle. Imogene, you're not supposed to say anything. Nobody says anything in our pageant except the angel of the Lord and the choir singing carols. Mary and Joseph and the wise men make a lovely picture for us to look at while we think about Christmas and what it means. Mother had to say things like that, even though everybody knew that it was a big lie. The Herdmans didn't look like anything out of the Bible, more like trick or treat. Imogene even had great big gold earrings that she wouldn't take off. Now, Imogene, Mother said, you know Mary wouldn't wear earrings. I have to wear these, Imogene said. Why is that? I got my ears pierced, and if I don't keep something in them, they'll grow together. Well, they won't grow together in an hour and a half, Mother said. No, I better leave them in. Imogene pulled on her earrings, which made you shudder. It was like looking at the pictures in National Geographic of the natives with their ears stretched to their shoulders. Well, what did the doctor say about leaving something in them, Mother said. What doctor? Well, who pierced your ears? Gladys, Imogene said. That really made you shudder. The thought of Gladys Herdman piercing ears. I thought that she probably used an ice pick, and for the next 6 months I kept watching Imogene to see if her ears were going to turn black and fall off. All right, Mother said, we'll try to find something smaller and more appropriate for you to wear in the pageant. Now, we'll start over again and go straight through. I think I ought to tell him what his name is, Imogene said. No, besides, remember, it wasn't Mary who named the baby. Told you, Ralph whacked Imogene on the back. I named him. Joseph didn't name the baby either, Mother said. God sent an angel to tell Mary what his name would be. Imogene sniffed. I would have named him Bill. Alice Wendelkin sucked on her breath, and I could hear her scratching down on her pad that Imogene Herdman would have named the baby Jesus Bill. What angel was that? Ralph said. Gladys? No, Mother said. Gladys is the angel who comes to the shepherds with the news. Yeah, Gladys said. Unto you a child is born, she yelled at the shepherds. Unto me, Imogene yelled back at her. Not them. I'm the one who had the baby. No, 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 Mother said, sitting down on the front pew. It just means that Jesus belongs to everybody. Unto all of us a child is born. Now let's start again. And why didn't they let Mary name her own baby? Imogene demanded. What did the angel say? Just walk up and say, call him Jesus? Yes, Mother said. trying to get to the end of it. But Alice Wendelkin had to open her mouth. "I know what the angel said," Alice piped up. "He said, 'His name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace.'" Could have hit her. "My God," Imogene said, "he'll never get out of the first grade if he has to write all that." There was a big crash at the back of the church, as if someone had dropped all the collection plates. But it wasn't the collection plates. It was Mrs. Hopkins, the minister's wife, dropping a whole tray of silverware. "I'm sorry," she said. "I was just passing by, and I thought I'd take a peek." "Would you like to sit down and watch the rehearsal?" Mother asked. "No." Mrs. Hopkins couldn't seem to take her eyes off Imogene. "I'd better go check the applesauce cake." "You didn't have to say that," I told Alice. "For all that wonderful everlasting Father and all." "Why not?" Alice said, patting her hair. "I thought Imogene wanted to know." Well, by that time everybody was hot and tired, and most of the baby angels had to go to the bathroom. So Mother said we would take a 5-minute recess. "And then we'll start over," she said, looking sort of hopeless, "and go right straight through without stopping." Well, we never did go right straight through without stopping. The 5-minute recess was a big mistake because it stretched to 15 minutes, and Imogene spent the whole time smoking cigars in one of the Johns. And then Mrs. Homer McCarthy went in the ladies' room and opened the door and smelled something funny and saw the smoke, and she ran right to the church office and called the fire department. We were singing "Angels We Have Heard on High" when we heard the fire engine pulling up in the lawn of the church, with the siren blaring and the red lights flashing, and firemen hurrying in and telling us all to go outside, and they dragged a hose in the front door and were looking for a fire to put out. Well, the street was full of baby angels crying, and shepherds climbing all over the fire truck, and firemen and the ladies from the potluck committee and neighbors who came out to see what was happening, and Reverend Hopkins, who ran over from the parsonage in his pajamas with his woolly bathrobe. Nobody knew what had happened, including the herdmans, but I guess they figured that whatever it was, they had done it. So they left. "Why in the world did you call the fire department?" Mother asked Mrs. McCarthy when she finally heard the whole story. "Because the ladies' room was full of smoke." "Well, I couldn't have been," Mother said. "You just got excited. Didn't you know it was cigar smoke?" Mrs. McCarthy stared at her. "No, I didn't. I don't expect to find cigar smoke in the ladies' room at the church." She whirled around then. Sorry, I lost the page for a second. She whirled around then and marched back to the kitchen. But by the time that the kitchen was full of smoke, the ladies' room, because the kitchen was fuller of smoke than the ladies' room, because while everybody was milling around in the street, all the applesauce cake had burned up. And of course the ladies on the potluck committee were mad about that, and Mrs. McCarthy was mad, and Alice said that her mother would be good and mad when she heard about it. Most of the baby angels' mothers were mad because they couldn't find out what had happened. And somebody said that Mrs. Hopkins was mad because Reverend Hopkins was running around in the street in his pajamas. And it turned out to be the one great big sinful thing that Alice kept hoping for. Mrs. Wendelkin read Alice's notes and got on the telephone that very night and called up everybody she could think of. She called most of the Flower Committee and the Ladies' Aid Society and the Women's Society and the Sunday school teachers and the Reverend Hopkins. And Reverend Hopkins came to see my mother. "I can't make head or tail of it," he said. "Some people say that they set fire to the ladies' room. Some people say they set fire to the kitchen. One lady said that Imogene threw a flower pot at Ralph. Mrs. Wendelkin said all they do is talk about sex and underwear." That was Hobie Carmichael, Mother said, talking about underwear. "And they didn't set fire to anything. The only fire was in the kitchen because the potluck committee let their applesauce cake burn up." Well, Reverend Hopkins looked unhappy. The whole church was in an uproar. "Do you think we should call off the pageant?" "Certainly not," said Mother. By that time, she was mad, too. "It's going to be the best Christmas pageant we've ever had." Of all the lies she had told so far, it was the biggest, but you had to admire her. It was like General Custer saying, "Bring on the Indians!" "Maybe so," Reverend Hopkins said. "I'm just afraid that no one will come to see it." But he was wrong. Everybody came to see what the herdmans would do. And that is chapter 6. See you tomorrow for the grand finale.